Today we're going to look at the evolution of Nike racing shoes from the new Alphafly all the way back to the Nike Elite, all the way from the late 70s bang up to date with the new Alphafly. Lots of things to be looking at. Hope you're going to be. I'm really excited. This is my personal collection of shoes. Some of them I've worn, some of them are box fresh. Lots of exciting things here. Hopefully a lot of things that you're going to get excited about seeing again. You probably had a pair of these shoes, and if you did and have all the details and dates and you remember your favourite race about them, add them in the comments below. And also remember to like the video and press the subscribe button. We've got lots of great videos and fun videos and informative, hopefully, videos on our channel, as well as on the shoeguide.run website, so where we've got hundreds of reviews of products as well. So please do subscribe and please do like and comment below. I can't remember some of the dates of these shoes because they go back quite a way from when I was very young, a teenager. So anyway, let's dig in. I'm kind of shuffling them around, all these shoes, actually, because I'm kind of trying to get them into a chronological order of the date they came out. Here's two interesting ones. First off, Vaporfly. You might be familiar with this one, the Vaporfly Next Percent. Anybody remember that one? Mid-90s, the original Vaporfly. There you go. We'll come on to that one soon. I'll check the date. 2006, in fact, so a lot later than I thought. So I think that goes around there. I'll put it in order and we'll come to that soon enough. But first up, this one of my favourites. I did have a pair of these. This is a box fresh, brand new, unworn pair. Never touched the surface of a road in anger. And what's really interesting about it is the original Nike waffle sole. You can see there the uniform pattern of the small waffle studs covering the entire surface, a die cut EVA midsole, and you can see where some of the waffles get trimmed, cut from a big sheet where they get trimmed on the edge. This was a very light training shoe at the time, with the EVA wedge, as just a regular nylon upper, the laces, no, just a straight kind of straight symmetrical line up for the laces there, but and a plastic kind of line or a vinyl lined heel collar, a little bit of sponge that's kind of crumbling away there, frayed around the edges of the tongue. So that's an original Nike Elite. They were about, I think about 1978, maybe late 70s, very early 80s, but these were, in the UK, these were about £30, about £29.99 as I recall. If you had a pair, you might know exactly how much you paid for them and when you bought them even. But a very popular shoe at the time. I think I have a poster, an original Nike poster of Trevor Wright, who finished third in the first London Marathon, and he was wearing a pair of these. So that was 40 years ago. So yeah, quite an old shoe. This one still in very good condition, and one of my favourites. Now, quickly moving away from racing shoes, but one of the first shoes to feature the air cushioning midsole. Okay, we had the Tailwind, but one of the most popular models. We've had a new model, a new version released this month, the Pegasus 37. This is the original Nike Pegasus featuring the air cushioned midsole. Seen better days, although it's never actually been worn, never been laced up. But the point I wanted to make about this one was it featured the air cushioning in the midsole. And that was quite important because one of the first road racing shoes, these were mine, was the Mariah. And this also featured the air cushioning in the midsole. This one has been worn by myself when I was, gosh, maybe 17, 18. You can see a lot of the midsole deterioration. So it had a PU, polyurethane midsole with a Zoom air, a thin air bubble capsule, whatever you want to call it, encapsulated within there. Early PU midsoles did suffer from this crumbling, and I'm holding this one very gently because it's basically about to fall apart in my hands. But that's the Mariah PR. Around that time you had also great racing shoes, which I never had, such as the American Eagle, and gosh, what was the other one? The original Mariah, the original colourway was a beige sand coloured with navy blue stripe. I think this was a second generation one. They called it the Mariah PR. But this bright pink, or it was bright pink when it was brand new, really setting it off, and the shoe stood out quite distinctively on the start line of many races. Then an interesting shoe, the Sock Racer. I'm sure some of you will remember this one. I first remember this one. An English gentleman called Charlie Spedding won the London Marathon, a London Marathon winner, and he didn't wear these in the London Marathon, but I remember seeing him at the Northern Road Relays here in the UK, and he had a pair of these, and as he got them out of his bag as he was about to race, everybody gasped in awe at these very unusual looking shoes. No logo on the side of the shoe, a stretch sock upper, hence the name, Sock Racer, air encapsulated in the one-piece midsole outsole combination. Two small straps there just to tighten it up a bit, but very light, very snug fitting shoe, and very, very distinctive. After the Sock Racer, it kind of spawned a whole host of shoes that had this sock-like upper to them. And again, this was a trend with no swoosh on the side of the shoe. This shoe was called the Air Current. There was a few of these around, similar names, but they all had this sock-like upper and a stretch band across the upper to hold the foot down, encapsulated air within them. And again, very distinctive. When you lined up on a road race, you know, you could tell these shoes from away. The black Volt always a popular colour with Nike. Moving on a little bit, then we had the Ghost Racer. Now, this was an unusual shoe as well. Again, featured the air cushioning, the airbags in the midsole, but it also featured a dual density midsole of a medial post as well to control overpronation. Quite a slim midfoot through this shoe, so the post was there to stabilise things as well, but it did keep it very stable, and as a racing shoe, one of the most stable around, used a lot by marathoners. I know one guy in the UK, Paul Evans, I do remember seeing Paul wearing these. He was quite a prolific road racer, and he wore the Ghost Racer when that was launched. Moving on again. Now, there was then a trend for shoes to get a real kind of almost a Japanese last, where the Japanese lasted shoes were a lot slimmer, very slipper-like uppers, very close-fitting wrap-around. This one, I think, was called the Zoom Streak. Somebody's going to correct me. Put that in the comments below. A very thin air capsule embedded within the midsole. Very low profile as well, this shoe, but super soft, super lightweight upper, really hugged the foot. I had a few pair of these. The racing shoes were developing so quickly that I would find a pair, hence why a lot of these are unworn. I'd have a pair, racing them, think this is the best shoe I've ever worn, I've got to have another pair ready, kind of on standby, and then a new model had come out, so I'd end up having, hence why I have a box fresh pair always ready to go. Then the original Vaporfly. Just before the Vaporfly, now I don't have one, was the Mayfly. The Mayfly was a very interesting shoe, very lightweight, about 100 grams as I recall, but Nike said it had a limited lifespan, like the insect by which it was named, the Mayfly, short lifespan. It had a 100-kilometre lifespan. It was essentially a very thin EVA wedge, very simple, similar sole pattern to this in fact, but the upper was kind of paper thin, just a very simple, straightforward printed upper, bright orange with black print on it for the swoosh and the design. But again, a massively popular shoe, and it was £25 here in the UK. So lots and lots of people snapped that shoe up at £25. It was a very, very popular shoe. The Vaporfly came the season afterwards, stepped it up a little bit thicker, a little bit softer, but still very flexible. A much more runnable shoe and much more comfortable, particularly for longer distances. You had to be very efficient to wear the Mayfly, 5k, 10k max. But Vaporfly, you could do the longer stuff in that and it still felt comfortable, still had lots of cushioning. Then we had this one. Now, lots of Nike's marathoners wore this shoe. This was the Zoom Marathoner. Paula Radcliffe ran her world record in this shoe in Chicago 2002. Lots of Nike's international sponsored athletes wore the Zoom Marathoner, and it had the Zoom Air pocket within the midsole, compression molded EVA midsole with a very thin, lightweight Zoom cushioning unit. It gave the benefit essentially of adding a lot of additional cushioning to what was otherwise a low profile and lightweight shoe. That was a Zoom Marathon. I had a few pairs of those, really enjoyed running in that one. And then we move on to, this was called the Spider, Lunar Spider. So there was a range of shoes featuring the Lunarlon cushioning material, which was a new foam-based material from Nike. But again, still had Zoom Air in it, and this was one of the early shoes with the fly wire kind of lacing, integrating the upper for lockdown around the foot, so it locked down over there like that. You can see the fine red threads integrated into this midfoot saddle. And also what I liked about this shoe was a feature that you see on a lot of ASICS shoes, particularly like the DS and the DS Racer, these small plastic lugs. It made it very hard wearing, surprisingly so, and added a lot of traction, particularly on wet ground and slightly slippy pavements and road surfaces. So very versatile, very light but well cushioned shoe. Another one of my favourites. They're all my favourites really, they're all great shoes, aren't they? Then Flyknit Racer. Flyknit was a development from the lacing system we saw in the upper here around the midfoot. One step further, making the whole of the upper knitted in one piece, eliminates a lot of waste, eliminates seams, and keeps the weight down. Very breathable, very lightweight. This shoe just had again a sock-like fit, but stretched over every lump and bump and the shape of anybody's foot. A very accommodating shoe, very light, Zoom Air in there, and a similar kind of, a little bit of a design touch going back to what's almost a waffle-like pattern from that Elite on the midsole. I missed a few years there after that, the Flyknit Racer, so I kind of forget a lot of the Nike shoes then, but the big leap forward came from the 4%. The ZoomX cushioning midsole material, gone is the Air for now. This new super resilient, super lightweight and springy foam with the carbon fibre plate embedded in there. Everything's been said about these shoes, but really they just feel great, and they're great to run quickly in. I've done, gosh, a couple of 100 miles in these. They've still got a lot of bounce in them, although they're not the hardest wearing. There's a lot of signs of wear on the heel on this one, but yeah, I'm still putting miles in occasionally in that shoe. Then the Vaporfly. Now this was the daddy really. More ZoomX foam, still got the carbon fibre plate, super thin, lightweight upper, asymmetrical lacing, slightly offset. Does mean it crunches a little bit and cinches up around the toes, but very springy, very lightweight, and a really nice shoe to race in. And then finally, to bring everything bang up to date, the Alphafly. Just running these once so far. At the money these cost, you're not going to be wearing it every day, but we've got more Zoom X foam in there. Despite World Athletics regulations on the stack height limitations being 40 millimeters, I think that's is it a US or a UK size 8, being measured just in front of the rear of the shoe, about 12% in. So around about this depth here. Legally, it measures 40 millimeters. This is a UK size 9.5. The overall stack height in that region measures about 50 millimeters minimum. So your foot does sit within it a little bit, but you've got a lot of foam in there. It's a very high stack height, but interestingly, only a 4 mil drop. So the shoe feels a little bit lower, a little bit flatter to the ground. Same carbon fibre plate, very responsive, very springy, super lightweight upper. Woven, not to retain water, but if it is a wet day and you've got socks on, they're going to retain the water, so watch out for that one. Nicely finished around the heel, padded, very structured shape to it, so it does fit very well. And then you've got these air pads, air pockets under the ball of the foot, well, on both sides, medial and laterally, so there is a lot of forefoot bulk there. First impressions, I only did a 5k. Nice shoe, but despite it being a very light shoe, it does fit. There's a lot of shoe there, particularly under the ball of the foot, so it does feel very bulky. I think it's one that is more suited to marathon, and after all, that's where it was designed for. So personally, at the moment, jury's out for me, but a little bit bulky. Something for the longer runs where you want a little bit more and you're not perhaps driving off as aggressively off the toe, because again, it's stiff and it's bulky there. So having worn the Alphafly, I then went back to the Vaporfly for a run, and despite that being very stiff and quite thick, particularly on the stack under the ball of the foot on the forefoot, did feel there was more roll off for shorter, faster runs on that. Anyway, that's a history of Nike racing shoes. They're all there. Some great shoes. Like I say, if you do like the video and you want to see more, I've got a more in-depth video coming soon about that Pegasus, the original Pegasus. So keep on the lookout for that one. Click the subscribe button, click the like button, share the news of the channel, share this video in particular. I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to see it and relive some memories of some of their favourite Nike shoes.